Back to the front line with Joe and Joe Pasillo and Joe Resinello. And once more, let us go into the breach. Joe, not for nothing, I keep saying all the time what's going on in Canada. Put out a couple videos, and I usually say that, unfortunately, in a negative way. There's some positive stuff going on in Canada. These kids in Canada are really not putting up with the rainbow agenda. They're not. And it prompted one particularly aggressive school teacher, leftist, rainbow-loving school teacher, and threatened them. This is reported by LifeSite News. Canadian Catholic school teacher brags that his students are not allowed to say there are two genders. Now, Joe, I just want to read this to you real quick because this is what it's come to. On June 22nd, Toronto Catholic School District Board teacher Paolo De Bono, what a disgraziad. This guy's Italian, Joe. He's disgraziad. Revealed that he told his 8th grade students they're not allowed to say there are two genders as part of his prevention of racism, homophobia, and transphobia in the classroom. So do you see the whole agenda, Joe, and how it works? If you simply state a matter of biology, there's two genders, you are now a transphobe along with a homophobe and a racist. So basically you're what Hillary Clinton has called a deplorable. But here's the thing, Joe, these kids aren't putting up with it. They're not putting up with it.
Well, to be honest, I'm just going to focus on what you just said. It's science. Science says otherwise. I mean, everybody always says follow the science. There are two genders, scientifically proven. It's in every cell, XX, XY chromosome. Right. I mean, like, I don't know what else to say. Outside of that, activism has no place in the classroom. Sadly, that battle has been lost. It's been lost in America. It's lost in Canada. But activism has no place in the classroom. If you teach English, teach English. If you teach history, teach history. This has nothing to do with why you were hired. And frankly, we've lost our perspective on that. Mm-hmm. And here's another thing, and I'll leave it with that and turn it over to you. A lot of these issues have everything to do with how you're raised. It has everything to do with being a parent. And here's another thing. We are to respect everybody, and we do. But at the same time, certain people have certain belief systems, like Muslims, like traditional Jews, like Catholics. You live in a pluralistic society. Right. You have to respect all people. So how does this sound as a compromise? We don't discuss social issues in the classroom. Teach your subject. Get off of these activism points. And frankly, I think we'd all get along a lot better, Joe.
Listen, no, I agree with you. Miles Vasilius, he's a former student at the Cardinal Carter Catholic School in Ontario, Joe. He was mocked by this guy, De Bono, again, disgraziad, because he gave a speech against flying the pride flag and condemning the restrictions on students' free speech. And this is what he said. I think it's very telling, and it's hopeful, too, because it shows pushback. Quote, Paolo De Bono is infamous for his anti-Catholic, sexual, perverse ideologies. This is what Vasilius told LifeSite News. He's been doing this for years, and he posts all of this when he looks for attention. And a lot of it has to do with that, too. A lot of them want to belong. Somebody told me yesterday, tell me what, I don't want to be long-winded here, Joe, but somebody told me this. Tell me what you think, because I didn't think of it like this, that I was having a conversation about these men, grown men, I hesitate to call them men, at these pride parades with their junk hanging out, walking around naked with little kids all in the thing. And I mentioned that I think it's diabolical. And my friend said to me, he goes, think of it this way. He goes, perhaps that it's tribal, because these people, generally speaking, that do these types of things, usually they're loners, they don't belong, and they look to belong to part of a club or a tribe, and this happens to be what their tribe is doing. I thought it was an interesting point, but either way, it's in your face, and these people aren't going anywhere, but at least in the case of this Miles Vasilios, there is pushback there, and it's across Canada and in America. There is pushback, and that's a hopeful sign. Joe, I'm going to give you the final word.
Well, to be honest with you, again, it's a good sign. I agree with you, and I think it has no place in the school system. I think the pushback will continue. I think it's going to ramp up. Why? Because they're not stopping, Joe. It's like two freight trains that are
Yeah.
basically on a collision course with one another. And this is not a political issue. They're trying to make it a political issue, but this runs across the political aisles. Parents are not on board. The problem is they control the institutions, particularly the school system. And they're saying to parents, tough. But guess what? Parents, when it comes to their kids, mean business. And frankly, this is going to get, if you ask me, it could get ugly. And that's why this is a political loser. And frankly, I think we're in for some trouble here, Joe.
Well, let's see what happens. But the best we could do right now, I think a great thing we could do right now is to keep resisting. Keep the pressure on them. Build up the pressure on them. It's been working. I think it's going to continue to work because, as you always say at the front line with Joe and Joe, this is a loser for the left. We just have to make sure we rub it in their face and let them know this is a loser for you, and we're not backing down. You could call us all the names you want. Thanks for joining us here at the front line with Joe and Joe. Joe Pasillo, Joe Rossinello. Stick around for more great content.